Call me chicken, but I am terrified of super iconic games. The Super Mario Bros. Is one of the most iconic games in history. How did it become one of the most iconic games in history? The premise being a fat man jumping on turtles? I don't know. Either way, it built Nintendo, which is still arguably one of the best running gaming companies of all time, and is the longest running video game company. It's insane that I can talk to my grandparents and they too have played Mario games. But the Super Mario Bros. Is what really built them. Sure, Donkey Kong was pretty big, but this was huge. If you owned an NES, you owned Super Mario Bros. Or you probably owned the Super Mario Bros. / Dunk Hunt combo, because that came with the NES. That explains a lot, actually. So we are going to be going over this trilogy of games today. Starting out with the original Super Mario Bros. This is a very simple game, and this is actually what was considered an action game back in the day. Killing turtles was actually violent and corrupting your kids. Yeah. Screw that turtle. So this was a left-to-right game. You start out on the left and try to make it to the right, which progressively got harder as you went on. There were secrets in this game, which at the time was a whole new thing. But now it's very obvious. Like, look at this part and tell me you don't want to go up there. When you do, you're greeted with 3 pipes. Choose which one you want to go in, and that's the world you're going to go into. This game's so easy, bro. Let's just go on the last one. Oh my god! This game gets hard pretty quickly. And what sucks about this game is it was originally an arcade game. So when you run out of lives, you go back to the first world. This is one of the most intense games I've ever played, and you might be laughing at that, but try playing the last level when you only have 1 life left. The worlds weren't really vastly different, not really enough for me to talk about, because it was really just different colored grounds and skies. Whenever you get to a castle, you just kind of have to jump over Bowser, and then you get to Toads, and they're like, hey, no, Peach isn't here. The ending is incredibly underwhelming, as instead of, like, this time you have to kill Bowser, you just jump over his head like normal, and then you win. I guess I'll cut it some slack, it's a pretty old game, but still. Anyway, moving on to Super Mario Bros. 2. This is a controversial game. You either love it or you hate it. Most people hating it. The reason it was different is because this was supposed to be a Japanese game based on Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic. Yume Koyo Doki Doki Panic. Don't get mad at me for pronouncing that wrong. It was supposed to be a family computer disk system game, and also to be a tie-in with Fuji Television's Media Technology Expo. It got cancelled and Nintendo got a hold of it and said, let's put Mario on it and call it a day. It was actually only halfway done. So Nintendo just made the last boss a little bit harder to kill, and the background a little bit more last bossy, and put an ending screen on it. I didn't even notice it when I first beat it, but now when I play it, I can kind of tell that it's only really halfway done. So what makes this game so different, you may ask? Alright, let's go over all the important stuff. So, stomping on enemies. No, you gotta jump on their head, lift them up, and throw them. Speaking of enemies, they're all different, along with the music and art style. To kill bosses, you have to lift up either turnips or enemies and throw them at them. By the way, you can also kill enemies with turnips. Now, love or hate this game, if it wasn't for this game, we might not have Mario today. I mean, sure, he probably still would have been the company's mascot, and they still would have put him on a bunch of stuff, but we might not have Super Mario Bros. 3, or any games that are actually centered around Super Mario Bros. So, weird to think about, but this next game had an entire movie made to advertise it. Give it up for Super Mario Bros. 3! This is definitely one more my style. Not my favorite Mario game. That still goes to Super Mario World. Way too many people say Super Mario Bros. 3 is better, okay? At least IGN agrees with me. Super Mario Bros. 3 is a huge step for Nintendo, and in my opinion, a pretty revolutionary game, at least for that era. I mean, seriously, think about it. It went from this to this. So this is where the world map was introduced. And this one actually has secrets that are hard to find! I love not knowing what I'm doing! I feel like this is where the term 100%ing was introduced. It's not the first game to have that, but it's one of the biggest. There were several paths you could take. In fact, I think this was actually the first game that I've ever 100%ed. This one actually has distinct worlds. Number one being a pretty easy world with no real subject here, just normal. The second world being a desert with, oh my god, the sun.
Why?
The third world being a water world, which is one of my favorites. But it's super underrated because most people, by the time they get to this point, have already gotten the whistle and used it to skip to the fourth world, which is easily one of the most memorable. This is a giant world. Everything is bigger than normal. I wouldn't go in here with Napoleon syndrome. 5 is one of the most creative, in my opinion, because at first glance, this world seems like a normal, pretty short world. Then halfway through, you get launched into the clouds, and it's so cool. World 6 is a nice world. Everything is slippery. There's also a lot of caves. World 7 is a pipe world, which is just full of confusion. Fun fact, a new secret was actually found in this game like 4 years ago. In this world, you can actually... there's some weird thing you can do where you can jump through a pipe and just win in that world. It's just so unbelievable and so cool that people are still finding secrets in this game. Okay, finally the 8th world. I should have mentioned, at the end of every world, you get this ship which you have to go in, and then, you know, get to the end and fight this turtle and get the wand and give it back to the king, and they're like, no, but the princess is somewhere else. In this world, every level's a ship. And god, it's confusing. But if you manage to make it through, you are greeted with Bowser, who honestly is pretty easy to kill if you do it right. Okay, yeah, first try, pretty hard, big surprise. When you get the strategy down, it's just really easy. But you go in another room, find Princess Peach, and you win! Yay. Yeah, that's it. Those are all the original Super Mario Bros. Games. I was thinking about talking about World, because a lot of people consider that one of the original Super Mario Bros. Games. But that and its sequel could have their own video. Alright, bye. What? I have to make a funny outro every time? Why? Most of the time, every outro is just a cut-off scream, and everybody think that's hilarious. Oh, do a cut-off scream, it's funny. No! Why has humanity's humor devolved into...
Yo, so with the editing problem, so it just decided that a lot of the clips I used for the Mario games, it decided that I didn't have those, even though I did. So they didn't come through. So sorry about that.